Welcome back to episode 2 of Physique Transformation Basics. In today's video, we're going to cover everything training related. What's the best split to follow, what's the right volume, and ultimately, you should leave this video with a good understanding of how to apply training for yourself to progress at the fastest and most applicable rate. Back when I was younger, everybody used to go and grab the Men's Health magazine or Muscle and Fitness and read through their favorite bodybuilders or favorite muscle models training program and follow it. And that may look like something along the lines of chest on a Monday, back on a Tuesday, legs on a Wednesday, rest on a Thursday, shoulders on a Friday, arms on a Saturday, rest on a Sunday. And although this may work for those pro bodybuilders and professional models because they may recruit tissue a little bit more effectively than most people, they may be using assistance, there is far more optimal splits for your average Joe and for most people here. Now, I'm not saying this split variation doesn't work, but what I am saying is it may be more effective for those people who are genetically elite, because there are other variations of splits allow you to train under more volume, more frequency, and ultimately more resistance over a 7-day window. And that's what we're going to talk around today. So what is the best split if it's not the bro split? Since the days of the magazines, there's been a lot of literature, a lot of further education, a lot of study put in. And what this actually shows is, for a beginner, the best variation in terms of volume and frequency that was heavily studied would be to apply a full body split 3 times a week. So what that could look like is you could do full body on a Monday, rest, full body on a Wednesday, rest, full body on a Friday, rest, rest. That way, you'd be hitting all of your body 3 times a week, and the volume application will be very similar per muscle group. So what this would encourage is consistent growth and consistent recovery. So ultimately, this is where you could begin. So how would you approach a 3 times per week full body split in terms of setup and application in a training week? You need to ensure every single session you hit each muscle group once. What my recommendation would be is hitting a compound for your chest, hitting a compound for your shoulders, hitting a compound for your back, hitting a compound for your legs. If you want to increase a volume and your recovery capacity allows, you could include an isolation for each of these as well. But in simple terms, what you could do is a day of compounds, a day of isolations, and then a mixture of both. That's how it could look. Just to be clear, a compound movement is a multi-joint movement. So if that is a chest press, you're hitting obviously the primary factors, which is your chest, and you're gonna get some involvement from your triceps and your front delt. If you're doing an isolation, that is your pec deck. Depending on where you position yourself on the seat and the angle on which you're converging, that is gonna be your lower to mid to upper pec fibers, and that is all that would be included. Now, as a coach personally, despite what the science says in terms of that being the best split for a beginner, we at NewGen actually would run a push-pull leg split. And the reason for this is we're not going against the science, but a huge factor of sustainability of a training program is enjoyment. So if you go in and you hit a push session, you're gonna leave that session with a lot more blood flow in your shoulders, in your triceps, in your chest, than if you just hit one singular set on a full body. Likewise on a pull session with your back, likewise on the legs. So you'll feel a greater level of endorphins and more than likely a greater level of reward from following a push-pull legs. In terms of how you set that up, you could do a push on a Monday, you could do a pull on a Wednesday, and you could do legs on a Friday, rest on the weekend. And this would be adequate volume to see you progress. And the reason we do this is because the best fitness and best training program for you is one that you enjoy and that you can adhere to longer term. And if you're going into a gym and you're following a full body and you're just getting a little pump on in each muscle group and you're not feeling fulfilled, 9 times out of 10, most individuals are going to fall off plan. So a big factor when it comes to programming is finding a program that you enjoy and that you feel fulfilled, because ultimately you need to get good at it in order to progress at it. Now, if you're a little bit more advanced than a beginner, you've been and done a few rounds in the gym, you may have been going for a few months and you're ready to take it up another level and you want to add another session. A great 4-day variation is upper, lower, rest, upper, lower, rest, rest. And the reason for this is because you're getting an equal amount of volume across each muscle group. So you're growing in sync, and that's a really important factor. We won't dive into detail because that's another can of worms that you want to open in terms of needs analysis, where you want to grow, ultimately volume application per the individual. But a great 4-day variation, as I've said, is upper, lower, rest, upper, lower. Or if you like the push-pull leg variation as a beginner and you want to add an attachment to that, you could again do push-pull legs, upper. And that would get you your 4 sessions with a little bit more volume bias in the upper portion, which most lads in the 18 to 30 range would want more upper bias, me included. But remember, your legs have got to be in balance and in symmetry with the rest of your physique, so don't shy away from leg days. Now, in terms of volume per session, you want to be looking for anywhere between the range of 12 sets upwards to around 18. And the reason for this is because that's going to equate to around 2 to 4 sets per muscle. If you're following a split, for example, upper lower or a push-pull legs, that's going to be adequate amount of volume for you to grow, but also recover. Now the volume will depend on the quality of the sets and how intense the sets are. And that ultimately is going to be determined and reviewed by your coach, looking at the form clips, or you reflecting on how accurately you've trained per set, per session. Now, as you're working through these sessions, there should be some form of progression over time. Whether you're getting stronger, improving your tempo, being more composed under load, but ultimately you've got to be tracking that and looking, are you getting stronger or are you getting weaker each session? If you're getting stronger, this is probably a great sign that you're adding muscle tissue, which shows that your volume's in a great place because you're recovering from your sessions. And if you're getting stronger, your nutrition is in a great place, like we talked about in the previous video, to support that performance progression. However, if you aren't getting stronger and you're in a phase of plateau, as we would call, you're either not fueling properly for your sessions, i.e. you're not eating enough, or you're overtraining. You're not taking adequate rest days, or you're not applying the right amount of volume and you're doing too much in the gym. So your body is not recovering and therefore it's not able to perform at the right capacity to progress. To be real, in order to grow muscle effectively, you do need to be in a calorie surplus, unless you are a beginner and you're gonna get newbie gains and your food's in a respectable position. If you're in a harsh deficit, it's not impossible to recomp body fat into muscle, but it is very, very difficult and it is very unlikely. So that should cover where you should start as a beginner entering the gym. So we've covered in episode 1 what the diet should look like in phase 1 in terms of your structure, and now we've covered what your training should look like. Of course, you can train more than 4 to 5 times a week if you want to, but remember, often less is more, and people start at 100 miles an hour and they fall off. We're trying to build you something that's going to last. We're trying to build you a lifestyle, and we're trying to build sustainability. So these results come thick and they come fast, and you build them into your forever future. So if this video helps, amazing. If there's anything else you want to see, please add to the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.